Welcome back to Just Scrap Radio on BJPENN.com. I'm your host, Cole Shelton. Episode 112. We got a good lineup for you ahead of UFC 285. First up, we're going to be joined by the voice of the Octagon and Bruce Buffer to help preview UFC 285, kind of talk about his career, when he thinks he's going to retire. He obviously has a lot of stuff going on. His alcohol he's got, his podcast. He does a ton of stuff. So talk about that. Obviously, that scorecard in Brazil we talked about and what kind of was going through his head, but a really good chat with Bruce as always. We're then going to be joined by Geoff Neal to preview his main card fight against Shavkat Rakhmonov. We talk about why the fight in January fell through, and he was actually hoping to be on the San Antonio card, but when he got offered this fight on John Jones' return card, he was very excited to be a part of this card right before the title fights, and he's really pissed off. He says he's not getting enough respect. He thinks people are totally writing him off, which he's not too happy about, and he thinks he can make a big statement here against Shavkat and really put himself in that title picture. We're then going to be joined by Jalin Turner to preview his main card fight against Mateusz Gamrot. Jalin was obviously supposed to fight Dan Hooker. Hooker's out and Gamrot steps in. We talked to Jalin just about that change, whether or not he was surprised Gamrot took the fight. He thought he was going to have to fight an unranked guy, and he's excited that guy ranked above him and Gamrot took the fight. He just kind of shows how game of a guy he is, and he really thinks this could be a very fun fight and one that he is really excited for because he wants to show people that he does have good wrestling defense. It obviously hindered him in that loss to Matt Ravola, and early on in his career, he thinks he's really fixed that, and people are going to really be surprised by his performance. And then we close things out talking to Mana Martinez to preview his fight against Cameron Saman. This is a big one for Mana. Obviously, Cameron, undefeated guy, 7-0, coming off of his UFC debut win. After the Contender Series, Dana White said Cameron is the future of this division. So Mana obviously wants to really derail his hype. He's coming off a win over Brandon Davis, 2-1 in the UFC. He really thinks he has all the tools to really upset Cameron and really surprise a lot of people here. But be sure to share the show, subscribe, and tune in next week for another episode of Just Scrap Radio. All right, we're joined by the voice of the Octagon, Bruce Buffer. Bruce, how's it going, man?
Going really good, Cole. How are you?
I'm doing well. Like, I just wanted to get you on because a lot of stuff is obviously happening in the UFC 30th year. Like, when you started, did you ever think the UFC would get to 30 years and be this big as it is?
Absolutely, I did. I'll tell you why. When I first watched it, I thought it was as the promoters at the time, because John Milius was a friend of mine, the director who designed the Octagon, and I was familiar with a lot of people. I don't think they realized they were going to go past 3 or 4 events, But when it got to the point of when I came in at UFC 8 and I did the preliminary bouts, I mean, I saw certain things happening, and I realized that this could be the biggest thing in sports. And that's the reason I fought to get into the position of being the voice of the Octagon. So as far as I'm concerned, everything that I foresaw and everything I dreamed up for it, it's happened. Most definitely, I had that attitude.
And then for you, like, you obviously do a ton of events. Like, how do you go about picking which events you do? Like, obviously you do the pay-per-views, but those fight nights, like, how do you determine which ones you're going to do?
Well, it's not really up to me. It's up to the powers that be. I don't run the UFC. But it got to the point, previously where I was doing every single event there was, even to the point where I did an event in New Jersey one time, and I had to be in Belo Horizonte, Brazil, 16 hours later in the Octagon, which would be impossible to fly commercial. So I immediately after the show, Dana had me put my bags in his private jet and flew me down there and with him, and in less than 16 hours, I was in a new tuxedo, showered and in a new tuxedo. And in the Octagon, it was like 2 shows and 2 hemispheres in less than 24 hours, which is kind of like a almost famous rock star moment. But you can't keep doing that all the time, right? So now with like 42 shows, a number of years ago, they brought in the fine announcer, Joe Martinez, who fills in for me when I can't make it. And out of 42 shows or so a year, I usually do at least 32, 34. So the pay-per-views, I do all the pay-per-views and selectively do the fight nights. And, sometimes I need some time for myself, or it's just been a little too much and I've got to take care of other things.
And then for you, like, obviously the crowd feeds off your energy, especially on those pay-per-view main events. Like, what has the past couple of years been like for you doing at the Apex where there isn't many fans there to kind of feed off that energy?
I got to tell you, I actually enjoyed it. Okay. It was different because I have to appear like I want to make it sound like there's 10,000 people in the audience. Right? So my energy stays the same. I always give the fighters and the fans on TV and the 50 or so people watching in the Apex all the energy that I can bring because I can't do it any other way. The bottom line is the show's not about me. It's about the fighters and it's about the fans. And the fighters need to receive as much passion and excitement and everything I can throw on the Octagon floor for them as well as the fans watching need to have their entertainment of the fights and the atmosphere, being relatively the same. So we just try to recreate that exactly as it is. I'm not faking it. I'm out there trying to, just create the same excitement. But what I liked about the Apex, instead of flying all over the world, I live in Los Angeles. I'd go to Vegas and do the show, and I'd be home.
Mm-hmm.
Made it a lot easier in certain ways. But I always miss the fans. There's nothing better than 20,000, 12,000, 50,000 screaming fans, just like last weekend in Australia.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, we saw the UFC return to Australia. We saw the UFC return to Brazil. I'm in Canada, so hopefully they come back here this year. But like for you, is there a spot or a moment that kind of stands out of when you kind of realize how big this is and how kind of loud that crowd can get when you're introducing the main event fighters?
Well, I've introduced. I've done every show. As a matter of what is today? Today's the 14th. In 2 days, my 27-year anniversary of when I walked in at UFC 8 in Baima, Puerto Rico, and I did the prelims. Every city, every country has its own flavor. Canada, especially, the fans are so amazingly rabid and loving of their UFC up there. Brazil, England, obviously Australia is crazy. But I remember back about 2003 or so, we were in Brazil. I don't know the exact year. And we just gone back for the very first show in Brazil. We hadn't had one there since like 1998 or something when Vitor Belfort knocked out Vanderlei Silva. And when we went back, and there's all these Portuguese speaking people in the audience, about 20,000 of them. And I'm doing my thing, and I'm so focused on the fighters when I'm announcing, I don't hear what's going on around me. I'm really focused. If you notice how I work, I don't leave the fighter. When I get out of the octagon, Stitch Duran, the famous cut man, came up to me and goes, "Buff, did you hear that?" I go, "What?" He goes, "Everybody said it's time with you." Like the entire arena. And I said, "Are you kidding?" And I watched it on TV, and I'm like, "Oh my God, wow." That was a moment that I noticed that the It's Time was taking off, and that just like you asked me just then, the reaction from the crowd. And that began to carry over into almost every other city every city we pretty much go to now and announce it, which is an amazing, honorable compliment. I'm very humble about it. It's awesome.
And then for you, what's it like when the fighters kind of get into your introductions? Like we see Chiesa get like right into your face. Like a lot of fighters ask for the fist bump. Like what's it like for you that they kind of want you to be a part of that introduction?
It's the ultimate honor. I never ever instigate the fist bump.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm doing my thing. I'm in their zone. Thank God they let me enter their zone. They could easily just pop me and say, "Get out of here," But they're the ones that instigated, or Chiesa coming up to me and putting his face against my face, as other fighters have done. It all kind of started with Dan Hardy years ago. That was the one I used to interact with a lot, and TJ Dillashaw. And again, I keep saying the word honor, and it's a compliment, but it just it makes me really feel good that I'm getting them going. That's my job. I got to get them going.
When we talked last, I think it was like a year and a half ago, something like that. You said you wanted at least 10 more years left, which obviously has been like a year and a half, 2 years since then. Like, is the goalpost just getting pushed farther and you kind of see yourself doing this a lot longer?
I plan on doing it for another 10 years. I'm 65 now. So, I plan on doing another 10 years. The bottom line is, as long as I can physically and energetically do it the way I like to do it, I don't want to be one of those announcers, with all respect to everybody that announces that stands still and does their thing. That's all great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, it's fantastic. Me, I've got to move. I've got to enjoy. I got to throw my passion and everything I have into that octagon floor. I used to bang quite a bit myself, and it's like I know what it's like to about to go to war with somebody. You're about to put your blood, sweat, and tears and your life on the line. They deserve every ounce of everything I can give them. So as long as my passion stays, if my passion ever wanes for what I do, and I feel like I'm just phoning it in, then it's time to retire.
Do you do anything during the week to keep your voice ready for the Saturdays?
I just don't. I don't rehearse. I never rehearse. I just make sure the name's correct. I write my cards. I just take care of my voice. I don't do things to damage it. I'm not a smoker. I just don't do anything to damage my voice. And during the show, I always keep honey and like mentholyptus tabs on the table, just to keep soothing my throat, during the show, and hope for the best. I have done the show fresh off laryngitis, and I still got through it. So.
The one thing I did want to ask about is in Brazil, we saw that kind of weird moment where they were changing the scores or whatever in the octagon, and you were kind of looking all confused. Like, what's kind of going through your head in that moment there?
Get it right. just when the commission is doing that, I am not the commission. I'm the messenger. Okay. I am not in control of the commission. I got to let the commission do what they do. That took a long time. And at one time when they were finally writing it down, it was written in a way that I couldn't even read what they were writing. I said, guys, please write it so I can read it. I don't want to get this wrong. But outside of that, I've got to let them take the time to do what they did. It was just a little bump in the commission at that time. But the fact that he goes in the octagon and he starts writing the card on the octagon cage and the camera's catching the card, that's not for people to see. Probably a mistake on their part. They should have gotten outside and done it on the table.
And then with this last call with the Islam fight, like I didn't know who was going to win when it went to the scorecards. It seemed like you held that and a little bit longer to build the anticipation of that. Like, is that something you do in these close title fights to kind of keep people in the moment a bit longer?
I think any close fight, but especially that fight, because that fight could have gone either way. Many people think the Volkanovski won. It was such a slim fight, and you want to create the excitement, but as well as you want to create the drama. And that's just the way I work it.
And then I just want to talk about some big fights upcoming. Like obviously we have John Jones's return. Like for you, what's that like to see him back? 'Cause it's been a long time coming, and then fighting for the heavyweight title right away.
It's going to be awesome. John Jones, let's face it, he is the GOAT. If he beats Gon, he truly will establish himself as the GOAT, being in the heavyweight division. Gon's a great fighter, a fine human being. I can't wait to see the two go at it. I mean, John has been out of the octagon for 3 years, whatever.
Yeah.
God knows, losing probably potentially, $40-60 million could have made during that time period. This is a big, big moment for John. It's a big moment for the UFC, and it's a big moment for the fans. And I'm a fan first and an announcer second. I can't wait to see it.
Are you surprised we're seeing him back? Because I always thought he was fighting again. A lot of people maybe didn't think he was going to fight again. Like, did you think we'd see John again?
Yeah. What else is John going to do?
Yeah.
I didn't mean that John is not capable of doing anything else. Of course he is. I'm sure he's capable of doing a lot of things. But this is what he does. He's a fighter, right? So, and being a young man that he is, absolutely. I didn't see any reason he wouldn't be back in. It was just when.
And then the other kind of big fight they announced, obviously Connor's return against Chandler. Like any Connor fight gets the crowd going. And then I think that fight's going to be crazy. For you being able to announce that and then kind of watch that cage side, like what's kind of your excitement level for that one?
Oh, remember, fan first, announcer second. Side is crazy. As a matter of fact, not that there's nothing wrong, but I haven't watched a Tough show in a long time. I mean, the whole series. And I'll be glued to this one. That's for sure. It's going to bring back the ratings and everything. It's Connor's back. We'll see how Connor handles himself, how Michael handles himself, but the two going at it, man, that's going to be National Geographic time when you see the two, bulls come together with the horns. It's going to be very, very exciting. Big show. Big show.
The last event I want to talk to you about is obviously 286 in March. Return to London with the Edwards as a champion, defending his belt at home. Like London crowd's already always insane. Like, what are you kind of expecting for that one now that they have a champion again and then defending on home soil as well?
Absolute fireworks. The UK fans love their fights. You're gonna have 5,000 people. They sound like 50. At the O2 Arena, whatever it holds, 15, 20,000. It's going to be absolutely electric, right? And I plan on bringing it and roaring the whole roof off that place.
And Dana's always kind of said he doesn't like stadium shows just because of viewing experience. For you, would you ever want to be part of that? I know you said you don't often hear the crowd, but like if you get one of those stadiums in the UK or even like where the Raiders play, like filling that thing out, like that would kind of be insane for you.
No, it'd be insane. I mean, I've done stadium shows. I did a stadium show in Hawaii, which is dangerous because it rains, and it did. So and of course I announced the Raider games, and I've announced the Dodger game, and I've been on stadiums before. It's like hello, hey, ha. That's the difference for me because it's going to echo as I'm announcing. But outside of that, it's a pretty ultimate experience. It's an amazing experience. There's nothing negative about it. It's all completely positive.
And the final two things I want to touch on is obviously your alcohol, your bourbon. How is that kind of doing for you?
It's kind of doing great. Okay. Yeah. I'll give you an example. My Puncher's Chance, right? We started this, and right now it's considered one of the top fastest selling, highest rated new craft distilled bourbons in America. And we won 6 gold medals. We just got called the top 5 best sipping bourbon in America at its price range, and it's coming into Canada. So we're going into Canada, Australia, England. It's selling like hotcakes. I also came out with the 12-year-old version. This is my 14-year version called the Left Cross, which if you notice the Jamaican colors at the top, and the reason it's called Left Cross is if you can answer the question, Mike Tyson, the first time he was knocked down with the left cross.
Mm-hmm.
He was knocked down by a well-known Jamaican heavyweight named Razor Ruddock, right? So this is made in Jamaican rum barrels is how we put it together. And it's a 14-year reserve. It's expensive. It's about $180 a bottle, but it's already completely sold out. So the bourbon's going great. It's I plan on building this into a very huge brand. It's already getting built into a huge brand. And I always like to kid, I want to show Connor how to do it the proper way.
Did you ever expect it to be this big? Like, obviously you have a big name being a part of the UFC. Like, I imagine same with like Connor's whiskey, like just being Connor, people wanted to try it the first time because it's his, but it seems like a lot of people are rebuying it, which obviously a good thing for a brand. Like, did you ever think it would get this big?
I don't enter anything unless I have projections that it's going to be big. I don't go into anything unless I'm with the best product, the best people I can work with and know how to market and manage it. My partners were behind Sammy Hager's Cabo Wabo Tequila, Skinny Girl, and Campari. They know what they're doing. I don't go into things casual. I just don't go in and take a paycheck and say, hey, okay, use my name. No. I get involved in the beginning. I'm involved in all the development, and I build into a big company. That's just the way I work. So it either makes it or it breaks it. But in this case, it's making it. It's making it very big. It's doing very, very well. I'm very proud of it. And the thing is, it's the sweet nectar of the bourbon gods. It's really high quality bourbon. When you taste this, you'll understand what I'm saying. And another big product that's coming out, you're going to hear about is I have my cologne and toiletry line coming out. And this one's going to be huge. This is the It's Time energy drink.
Mm-hmm.
This is the most natural, vitamin fortified, amino acid infused energy drink on the market. We released it in Europe, and it's going in 40 countries around the world. You can drink 4 cans of this a day and never crash. This is not like, it doesn't have the stuff in it that's not good for you that a lot of energy drinks have. And I don't know why, but they put my mug on the So anyway, the thing is when you're building a brand, and I try to tell this to a lot of fighters too, is that, you build your base and you build out from your base. Mm-hmm. My thing is that I associate myself with the best products, the best people that can do the best business, and go out and be very proud of what I do and make it happen.
Just final thing is you have your podcast, obviously, and you bring in a lot of people from outside the MMA kind of thing. Like, what's that like for you to be able to kind of talk to other professional athletes not involved in fighting, kind of see what their lifestyle's like?
Well, I love it because my show is a lifestyle show. Mm-hmm. And I enjoy not just talking about, you fought this, or you hit a home run over here, or you did whatever you did. I bring in all different types of people. I've been people from politics, the adult film industry, to people off the street, whatever. It's a lifestyle show, So I enjoy getting into not just what people do that they're known for, but getting into the person. I want to know what makes the person tick, right? So it's a very cathartic experience, the It's Time podcast for me, because after doing a show for an hour or more, I feel like I've released a lot. I get to rant, I get to rave, and it's fun. I love it. As a matter of fact, we were going to be on UFC Fight Pass.
Mm-hmm.
We're moving on to UFC Fight Pass along with everywhere else where you can watch It's Time on my YouTube channel and elsewhere.
All right. Thanks, Bruce. I appreciate the time as always.
It's my pleasure, Cole. Thank you so much. Yeah. And listen, I hope to see you all up in Canada soon. I'm hearing good things.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. All right, we're joined by UFC welterweight Geoff Neal, who's got a big fight next week. Geoff, how's it going, man?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Like, obviously, you were supposed to fight Shavkat in January. You had an injury. Like, did you think it would be March, or were you hoping to get this one rebooked a bit sooner?
I was hoping actually to get on when's that San Antonio card? I was trying to get on that San Antonio card.
Yeah, later this month.
Yeah, later this month. But I mean, this is cool too. You know what I mean? Back at my home base and fucking at T-Mobile Arena, and it's pay-per-view. John Jones is on the card. Valentino, like, it's perfect.
Oh, what you make of all those fans, right? When you had to withdraw, saying like, "Oh, he's just scared of Shavkat and everything," because I saw you comment about that too on your Twitter, Facebook, or something saying like, "Oh, we're gonna rebook it anyways." Everyone like, it was that kind of annoying seeing all those fans think you were like scared of this guy.
I mean, it is what it is. Like, I don't know those. I don't know why they would think that a professional MMA fighter is going to be scared of another professional MMA fighter. That's weird to me. I mean, just because they might be scared of Shavkat, so they just assume that everybody else is scared of him. Like, nobody's scared of him. Like, people just don't want to fight him, and I don't mind fighting him. And it's a perfect fight for both of us. You know what I mean? Winner takes all. You know what I'm saying? So let's get it.
Were you surprised this was the guy you had to fight after that Luque win?
Not really. I kind of had to. Well, before I fought Luque, I had no idea who the fuck he was. You know what I mean? Well, I kind of knew about him, but I didn't know he was like in the ranking. He called me out like once, like, because I called out Gilbert right after fighting, then he wants to jump in and call me back out. But I figured nobody ahead of me was going to fight me, so I was like, I'm probably going to have to fight back one more time, and then we'll see where it goes after that.
And what have you made of his UFC run? Like, his looked pretty dominant, and then obviously that Magny win was kind of like that breakthrough performance for him.
Yeah, but you said what was the question again?
Like, what have you made of his UFC run? Because he's kind of been running through everyone, and then obviously that Magny win is kind of the one that like everyone kind of realized that he is like this top 15 guy.
I don't know. No, I think it's all right. You know what I mean? Like, you can trip because Magny beat me. He beat Magny easy. It's a pretty solid run. We'll see if he can keep that run going when he fights me.
Whenever I talk to you or Safe, both you guys always mention you kind of have like sneaky good wrestling and takedown defense that no one even realizes. Like, how important I think that's gonna be in this fight? Because I imagine Shavkat's gonna try to take you down a bunch.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, like, I mean, I'm not an easy person to take down. You know what I mean? And we'll see how it goes. Like, unless he shows me something different, or you know what I mean, or I gas myself out or something, doing something dumb. I don't see me going on the ground at all this fight, but we'll see how it plays out.
Do you think this could be similar to that Bilal fight where everyone expected Bilal to just kind of put that pressure on you and out wrestle you, and you kind of stuffed all those takedowns and made him strike with you?
I mean, yeah, that's how it's going. I think he has better striking than Bilal though, so it's not going to be. It's going to be different. It's going to be a tricky fight because he's tall, he's long. So he's not going. I don't see him doing traditional wrestling shots. You know what I mean? He's probably going to try to like pressure me and like get a hold of me and put me on the cage and do some trips. But we'll just see how it goes. I'm excited to see how he comes out, and we're going to adjust on the fly, and we're going to get the win.
Obviously, you went through that bit of a time with your health, and I think that kind of impacted the Magny fight a little bit. Like, how much better do you feel from like a couple years ago to now? Because like that Luque fight to me was probably one of your best performances you've had.
I feel great. I feel you know what I mean, after going through all that shit, you know what I mean, I feel like mentally I'm just like I'm sharp now, you know what I mean? Like I'm locked in, and man, I'm excited for this fight. Like I like fights like this that are exciting, you know what I mean, that make you want to wake up and train your ass off and stuff like that. But man, I'm just excited for this fight.
Do you enjoy being like the underdog and like everyone kind of everyone's kind of predicting this guy to be like a future champ to kind of just run through you?
We'll see. I mean, I don't give a like the betting odds never win fights. You know what I mean? So fuck it, I could be underdog, whatever. You know what I mean? If he wins, he's gonna have to earn that shit. But he's not going to win. I don't know. I just feel disrespected, like how people just like I'm just some chump just because he's finished all his fights. 8 submissions, 8 knockouts. So the hell what? You know what I mean? You still got to fight me. You know. So we'll see. We'll see next Saturday.
Do you like kind of having that chip on your shoulder then? Like, does that help motivate you?
I mean, it helps piss me off. I'm already motivated. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I just wish I got a little bit more respect. And you know what I mean, for the things that I've done in this division, you know what I mean. But whatever, you know what I mean. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna show people what they've been disrespecting this whole time.
Do you think it's a bit of both, where like they are disrespecting you and they might be like overhyping and kind of overrating Shavkat?
I mean, I wouldn't say they're overrating. I would say they're underrating me. You know what I mean? Shavkat's good. You know what I mean? I get all credit to him. but I feel like I'm not getting enough credit myself. But like I said, we're going to see next Saturday.
And then being on this card, like, what was that kind of like for you when you got this call? Like John Jones's return back in Vegas, like probably one of the bigger cards they'll do this year.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see him fight. But until I get done with my fight, this is my card. Yeah, it's not like I'm more worried about what I'm doing. But I am excited to get to see him fight and get a chance to meet him.
Back in front of fans as well. You know, say that Luke fight at the Apex. How exciting is that to be back in front of that sold out crowd?
Yeah, I love fighting in front of crowds. Like, you know what I mean? I tell people all the time, I was like, I didn't bust my ass for 13 years out of my life to fight inside the damn Apex. I want to fight in stadiums and arenas, you know what I mean? So I'm glad to be in the T-Mobile Arena and get some fans.
You obviously a ton of guys, welterweight, middleweight, light heavyweights at Fortis. Like, was it just kind of the usual cast of crew, or was there anyone different you worked with for this?
Yeah, the usual cast of crew. And then there's this wrestler they should train at, AKA. He moved to Dallas. Him and a couple of his friends, Kyle Kretschmer. Mm-hmm. He's been training with me, and this training's gotten ramped up a little bit since he's came in. So I'm excited about to show the results of that from the camp.
Do you think you could frustrate Shavkat if you stuff those takedowns? Do you think he'd be pretty comfortable on the feet as well against you?
I don't know. the questions will be answered. I don't know how he's going to react. I don't know how he's going to like shoot. I don't even know if he is going to shoot. You know what I mean? So we're going to see. Like his strike is not that bad, so maybe he might want to stand and bang with me. We'll see.
And he is a durable guy. Like he hasn't even really. Well, it is hard to say if he's durable because he hasn't really gotten touched that much, especially a guy like he that has a ton of power. It's like, how do you kind of see this one playing out?
I mean, he's a finisher, and I'm a finisher too. You know what I mean? Yeah, granted, I haven't finished all my fights, but I still always go out there and I hunt for the finish. You know what I mean? And somebody's getting finished in the first and second, or it's going to be a 3-round war. Like that's how I see it going out.
You go out there, say you would not even have to finish him, but just beat Shavkat. Like, what do you think that does for you in the division? Because a lot of people are calling this guy like a future champion or future title contender, and to hand him his first loss, obviously a big momentum boost for you.
I don't know. I feel like a good win over him. It puts me in the title picture. You know what I mean? Because nobody wanted to fight the dude. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'll fight him because I'll fight anybody in the division. You know, like. But I took the fight with him, and if I beat the hell out of him, and finish him in like the first or second, you know, who else is going to fight me? You know what I mean? Gilbert's not trying to fight me. I don't think me and Bilal are going to fight again. Warner Boy, I don't even know if he even wants to go try to fight for the belt. You know what I mean? So he's probably just going to graciously bow out himself. You know, so I feel like title will be next after I beat him.
Is the top of the division kind of frustrating for you still? Like you obviously have Usman Edwards running back, which makes sense. Then you have Colby, who knows if he's going to fight. You have Hamza as number 3. Who knows if he's going at welterweight. Then Bilal's kind of sitting out there hoping to get the win of the title shot. Then you also have Burns dropping all the way down to fight Masvidal. And then it's kind of you. And like, it's hard to get a fight with some of those guys up there because they don't really seem too interested in fighting. Yeah,
I don't know. Something's gonna shake up, you know what I mean? Like if I make enough noise next Saturday, you know what I mean? I'm gonna shake this shit up.
I actually think you and Bilal might be the fight though, even though you said you don't think it would happen, because I don't see Bilal getting a title shot next. So I think if you beat Shavkat, you rematch him, although you'd be like below him in the rankings, maybe you'd be above him, but it's a chance for him to avenge that loss. Then winner, you guys get that title shot. Because I can't see Burns getting one even if he beats Masvidal.
Yeah, honestly, that does sound like something, but I don't know how that's gonna play out because my coach likes him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess he has done some work with you guys too since that.
Yeah. So I don't know if that will ever even be a thing. But I mean, if it comes down to it, like, I mean, I like him. He's cool, but he's not my friend. Mm-hmm. So, you know what I mean? I have no problem stepping in the cage and fighting him again.
Those big fights in division, like, who do you think, like, what are your kind of thoughts on that Edwards and Childrix? That's a really intriguing one.
So Edwards and Usman?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, man, if Edwards don't do doesn't do something and change up what he did the last time, he's gonna get beat.
Mm-hmm.
Like that kick. I mean, you can say luck or whatever, but it was fortunate that he got that kick because the shit wasn't going his way that whole fight. So if he doesn't change up, like Usman's just gonna, instead of sitting there trying to strike with him the last 30 seconds of the fight, Usman's just gonna keep him in the cage like he did that first fight for the first 4 rounds. So,
were you surprised to see Burns and Masvidal get matched up?
yeah, I didn't think I'm super surprised by that, but that's what Burns was trying to shoot for the whole time. So, I mean, I guess he got what he wanted.
Because I actually think you and Masvidal would have made a lot of sense, because I think it is a striking fight, which I think Masvidal should be after, because I think Burns probably just takes him down to what Cole.
Yeah, I don't got enough clout. He ain't gonna fight me unless I got clout.
Yeah, that is, I guess that's true. So then we kind of talked about, like, top division is kind of clogged up. So, like, what is kind of the goal then for you this year? Because, like, you beat Shavkat, you could be in a difficult spot where you might be waiting for some guys and not being as active as you want.
Repeat that one more time.
Like, you beat Shavkat with the top division kind of clogged up, like we talk about. Like, what is kind of the goal then for you this year? Like, because you might have to be sitting on the sidelines of some of these guys if they don't want to fight.
I'm gonna stay ready, and you know what I mean, all these fights going on, somebody gonna get hurt, and I'm not gonna be hurt. I'm gonna be ready to go, and I'm gonna jump right in and slide right in and take somebody's shine.
And next fight, maybe a main event for you again.
Maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Well, Geoff, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for doing this, man.
Hey, no problem, brother.
All right, we're joined by UFC lightweight Jalin Turner, who's got a new matchup at UFC 285. Jalen, how's it going, man?
Going pretty good.
Obviously, you're supposed to fight Dan Hooker. Like, when you got offered that fight, like, how kind of excited were you? He was obviously a pretty big name, and like, it on paper, it seemed like a very fun fight.
I thought it was gonna be a fun fight. It'd have been cool to compete against him, and at the same time, I'm kind of like happy that I can like throw all that city kickboxing feud stuff away. So good.
Yeah, it seemed like you had to fight all the Australians or Kiwis there before you could actually get another fight. You just had to beat all of them.
Yeah, that's just the way the cards were dealt. So I wasn't complaining.
When he pulled out, I know it was a couple days before Gamrot stepped in. Like, I know you were tweeting at Drew Dober. Like, were you surprised it was Gamrot, given he is ranked higher than you? Like, did you think you're gonna have to fight an unranked guy?
Yeah, I didn't think anybody in the top was gonna step up, and I told myself, like, if somebody did step up, I was gonna rise to the occasion. So Gamrot stepped up. I tried to get Drew in there, tried to get Moicano in there. They needed more time apparently. I'm like, all right. So when I heard Gamrot say yeah, I was like, all right, let's do it.
Were you ever worried that they wouldn't be able to find you an opponent?
Oh yeah, I was super worried about that. I was like, man, I wouldn't want to fight me on 3 weeks' notice. I was like, I don't expect nobody else to, so we'll see.
Gamrot's had a very impressive UFC run, like, is coming off that loss to Dariush, but like, what have you made of his UFC run so far? Because he has some pretty good wins there.
He's had a good stint in the UFC for sure. He's gonna be a game opponent. He's gonna definitely bring it. 3 weeks notice, he has to make a statement, and I know he wants to get that wash away that loss to Beneil. So he's gonna come hard. So I'm excited. I can't wait to take on this challenge and showcase my skills.
He is a very good grappler, but like, on 3 weeks, do you think he's gonna wrestle as much as he normally does, just because it could like kind of hinder his cardio, because he hasn't obviously been in a full camp?
He's gonna wrestle a lot more now than he ever has.
You think so? Yeah.
Yeah, I know for a fact. I definitely analyzed that he thinks that's his number one key to winning the fight, of course. So I mean, history has shown, but I've worked in my grappling for timeless time, like in and out. So I'm not worried about it. I'm not stressing it, and I just can't wait to show that I can hang with elite grapplers and I'll strike them.
Like all your fights, pretty sizable height and reach advantage. I think it's like 5.5 or 4.5 inch reach advantage. Like how important you think that is, especially if you think he's going to be trying to go for your legs all the time.
It's not even just the reach; it's about how you use it. You know what I mean? So, I got good timing and distance management. So that's what helps me with having the reach advantage. Um, it's gonna be hard for him to close that distance, and it already is. Like from the previous fights I've seen, he shoots really low. He kind of shoots from far away, and I feel like that's not good against me.
How much did your training change then when Gamrot filled in? Because obviously with Dan, I think everyone was kind of expecting a stand-up fight, not much wrestling, if any at all. And now you go to Gamrot, who is probably going to try to take you down a couple times.
I expected Dan to shoot at me. I
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah, I didn't think it was gonna be just a pure stand-up battle. I felt like that's what they would think would be their way to win. So I was already kind of preparing the grappling from the start of my camp. Only thing I had to switch up was just having more people shoot on me. That was it. Just more wrestling defense, and that was it.
Once Gamrot was announced, like, did you bring anyone in to kind of mimic his wrestling, or is it just the same guys you always work with?
Um, no, I didn't bring anyone in specifically. It was pretty much the same dudes. My buddy Andrew Saucedo, he helped me out. My coach Ozzy, and then my little buddy Max, he's been helping me out too. So I mean, it's the same game plan. Like for me, it's like I focus on myself, not so much my opponent. So that's it.
And then with this one, like, were you surprised he didn't ask for a catch weight on the 3 weeks notice, or were you kind of expected to be 55?
Nah, I didn't expect that. He's fought at 45 before, so I'm like anticipating that he walks around a little bit lighter. I would say maybe 70, 75, the heaviest. So yeah, he can make that easy 3 weeks notice.
And then 4 fights in a row, you kind of get put on some of the biggest cards of the year. Like, what's that mean for you to be 4 fights in a row on these big pay-per-views in front of fans?
I feel like every fight I've been on has been a big fight besides like two of them.
Yeah.
Man, it just shows that I got some stock in the company. You know what I mean? I deliver. I go out there, put on exciting fights. I finish fights, and who doesn't want to see that?
And then being on the actual main card of the pay-per-view of like John Jones's return fight. Like, what's that like for you being on, like, because obviously it's gonna have a ton of eyeballs, his return, especially at heavyweight.
Shit, it's my return too. I ain't fought since last year, July.
Yeah.
It's hyped. I trained with John like a long time back, like back in the day, like years ago when I was still an amateur. So it'll be cool. It's like just I wouldn't say a dream come true, but it's like, man, like if you stay on the right path and stay diligent on chasing your dreams, you'll achieve great things. So it's like cool to come from being an amateur, training with the dude to fighting on the main card with him. It's pretty dope.
And then 4 straight as well at T-Mobile in Vegas. Like, is that something you and like doing? Is obviously a short flight from California to Vegas, or would you like to be on some of these other ones outside of Vegas?
I wanted to fight Dan in Perth. I wanted to go back to Australia. I love Australia. But nah, I don't mind Vegas. I love Vegas too. It's like a second home now. Pretty much, like I've been just chilling out there. 3 hour drive to Vegas. Go home, get my hand. Go out there, get my hand raised. Go home. Party, eat.
You're the betting underdog to Gamrot, and the odds I guess had you as the underdog to Dan. Like, does that surprise you that people are still kind of overlooking you?
Nah, I expect that. They gonna keep doing it. They're not gonna stop. They're not gonna stop underestimating me until I have that belt wrapped around my waist. And I like it that way. I like being an underdog, and of course against Gamrot, because like I haven't shown the best success against heavy grapplers, obviously, which is why I'm excited to go out there and show my success against a heavy grappler to the masses. So yeah, bet on me.
Do you think because of those past fights, like that is why Gamrot took this one on short notice?
Of course, yeah, that's definitely it. Like the way he beat Jeremy Stevens, like went out there, just took him down first round submission. I'm pretty sure he's anticipating the same kind of outcome with against me. He's in for a rude awakening.
How much do you think that like first takedown is going to play a big role in that one? Like if you stuff it, I imagine that probably has to hurt his confidence that it won't be as easy as he probably thought to get you down.
I don't think it's the first one. I think it's the third one. Once I
Yeah.
stop that third one, then he'll be like, "Oh shit."
Because I guess, yeah, because then he can just try again. After you stuff a couple, I guess he realizes he's probably going to have to strike with you.
Yeah, and then that's when the time clock starts ticking.
With this one, like, how do you kind of see it playing out then?
Whether it's the first, second, and third, I see myself finishing him.
Is that something like you pride yourself on? Like every UFC fight you have has been by stoppage. Like, is that something you want to keep intact? Is that 100% finish rate in the UFC?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it'll be inevitable. Like I have to go to a decision one day. You know what I mean? I'm gonna probably meet a closer adversary that will take me to those deep waters, I guess. But until then, I'm gonna keep finishing these guys. Finish, finish, finish.
Do you think there is a chance you could maybe even catch him in a submission? Like he shoots for a bad takedown?
Oh yeah, of course. Oh yeah. Come on now. I mean, I know he's an ADCC champ, but I don't I don't take any tools away from my toolbox,
Do you like how like people overlook your grappling and your whole wrestling game and they kind of just view you as a striker? Like it seems like no one even really gives you much credit for that part of your game.
No, I actually like it because it allows me to work on it even more without people having to worry about it or think about it or anticipate it or get ready for it. So when I come out and then I surprise them with it, they're like, "Oh shit, I didn't think he was that good of a grappler," which is perfect for me, because I literally I've been working my grappling day in and day out for the last 3 years, just improving, improving, improving. So I'm fine wherever the fight goes.
Oh, you beat Gamrot, like he isn't ranked in the top 10. Like, what do you think that does for you? Like, obviously, like it is a mass win, it puts you in the top 10, but it kind of puts you like, especially with a lot of those guys at the top having already fought for the belt, like you could be kind of right near that title picture.
I take his spot and then I fight somebody else in the top 5.
Do you worry about like if you beat Gamrot, people come up with these excuses like, oh, it's only because Gamrot took it on short notice or any of that stuff? Because it seems like all your wins, like there is something, oh, but if this happened or if this happened for you.
That's just a part of the game, man. That's a part of growing and winning and success. Everybody's gonna have to find some negative aspect to point out. Especially if I'm going against their favorite fighter. So, yeah, that's definitely gonna happen. And uh, if people are salty about it, I'll give them full camp next fight. I don't care. I'm not salty. I'm not you know what I mean? Like I'm more like I'm happy like he stepped up, but at the same time, like if you step up, you better anticipate that you could beat me, you know what I mean? So
What do you make of the top of the division right now? Like obviously Islam just beat Volk, and then you have like Dariush Oliveira, Gaethje Fiziev, like Connor Chandler. Like top of the division seems to finally be moving.
it's moving, I guess.
Well, I guess they're still just only fighting themselves, like kind of those guys.
Yeah, I ain't got much to say about all that.
I guess you're not really there yet, but like, do you think that could be something where you could get pretty frustrated with that with guys like Chandler, Gaethje, Poirier? Like they tend to seem to only want to fight kind of those guys. They just kind of round robin each other without kind of fighting below them.
Yeah, that's gonna be like that for a while. Like I said, the only person that might give someone lower a opportunity would be Benio because he already spoke on it. But I
Mhm.
doubt it. Like if he beats Oliveira, he's fighting for the belt, and he should wait for that title fight. He's earned it already. In my opinion. So
Mhm.
I'll
The
see.
the Islam Volk fight. Did you think Islam won?
It was close. It
Yeah.
was it was really close. I feel like the fact that Volk nullified a lot of the grappling made it seem like look like he won. So, I mean, I think it could have went either way. You know what I mean? If they raised Volk's hand, I wouldn't have been upset. You know?
Do you think that fight kind of like not really exposed, but like kind of showed some holes in Islam's game? Or do you think it's just that Volk is that good and like is able to kind of hang with them like where those other guys haven't been able to?
It showed a lot.
Yeah.
But Volk is also that good. Like I said, Volk's dope, bro. He's dope. So he did his thing.
You could pass Gamma. Like, would you rather stay on these pay-per-views or would you like a main event in your next one?
I'd like a main event. I ain't gonna lie. I like to do a little fight night thing. Do my first 5 rounder.
Even if it doesn't go 5 rounds, just kind of being on the poster, marketing, obviously that would probably be big for you.
Yeah, that'd be legit.
And just last thing, like, what is kind of the ideal year look like for you? Like, you obviously went from fighting a guy below you to now fighting a guy in the top 10. It can kind of set you up to have a pretty big year for yourself.
Man, just keep elevating, man. That's all I'm looking towards. You know what I mean? Like, whether I get 2 more fights this year or this is my only fight this year, like, I just want to keep rising and keep going up these rankings.
Well, Jalen, I appreciate the time. Thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, anytime, brother.
All right, we're joined by UFC bantamweight Mana Martinez, who's fighting on one of the biggest cards this year. Mana, how's it going, man?
Doing well, doing well.
Just start there, like fighting on UFC 285. When you found out you're on this card, like, was the Jones fight done at this point, or did you not know what was going to be the main event of this one?
So my manager had contacted me about either fighting on the March 4th or the 11th card. And it was kind of being teeter-tottered back and forth. But it ended up being the March 4th card. And yeah, it was kind of as John Jones got announced, my fight was officially confirmed. So it was exciting. I didn't know who the main event would be there for a while. The card wasn't really put together. But yeah, once I found out it was John Jones's return, it definitely made me a little bit more excited inside.
Yeah, obviously a massive fight, but like just aside of that too, like what's it like being a part of this card? Like a pay-per-view in Las Vegas, sold out arena, like there's gonna be a lot of buzz around this fight week. Like what's it kind of like for you to be a part of this card?
It's exciting. You know, I had the privilege to fight in my hometown for the Adesanya Whitaker fight, and that was something special to be a part of. And this next fight card is gonna be, you know, dreams coming true for me. I've always seen and watched the T-Mobile Center, you know, or T-Mobile Arena, and for me to be fighting under those bright lights is a dream come true. So it'll be a very exciting moment in my career.
Was this about the time frame you thought you'd be returning, like fighting middle of October to turn around in March, like a fairly decent quick turnaround for what some guys have to sit through?
Yeah, I was hoping I could fight earlier actually, but March I definitely want to return. March is always a great month for me, so definitely want to return by that time frame or earlier.
Are you in Texas training? Or are you still out in Kansas then for this one?
No, I'm currently in Texas. I'm back home.
Are you back with like Yanez and all them, or at a different gym?
No, I'm actually under Coach Bob Perez at boxing and Muay Thai. He's mainly known for you know, Derek Lewis, and as of recently Kevin Holland. So when I moved back, I decided to head to him, and we've been working, and I'm glad to be a part of his team under him.
What was the connection to go back there? Like, obviously, I know you went out to Kansas, and then everything kind of happened. You had to kind of find a new gym. Like, what was the reason to go to Bob then?
Yeah, it was a real, of course, it's still a real weird situation, you know, touchy situation of what's going on there in Kansas. So I had to move back. And when I moved back, I wasn't just going to, you know, stop training or wait for things to you know, kind of settle down. So prior to moving to Kansas, actually, when I was back home for a little bit of time being, I was training with a guy specifically under Coach Bob, and when I moved back, he connected us too, and you know, we clicked right away. And coming up to the regional scene, I fought quite a few of his guys, so he was definitely familiar with me and my style. And you know, from the first pad session we had up until now, it's been all good.
And then fighting Cameron Simon, like, how familiar were you with him when you got that offer?
I watched his Contender Series fight, you know, and then I watched his fight in Florida. I remember watching them both live, and you know, the kids, you know, got a lot of hype around him, but I'm looking in there to go in there and do what I usually do, you know. And I'm excited about this matchup because he's gonna be. I have a good feeling he's gonna be down to stand and go toe to toe with me, and that's always fun for me. If it does turn into a wrestling grappling match, I'll be ready for that. But I'm feeling a stand up battle here for this one.
Yeah, like after the Contender Series, like when Dana White was signing him, he said like this kid's like the future of the division. Like he has like all the tools to be a champion. Like, does that kind of excite you that the UFC's gonna be behind him and you can kind of be that one to derail the hype then?
Yeah, for sure. And I was once in that position. I was blown by everyone in the regional scene. And then, once I hit this next level, I had a few decision fights, and everybody tends to forget, what I'm capable of. But come March 4th, yeah, I guess we can call it a derailing of a hype train, but I'll definitely go out there and show who Mana Martinez is.
He is a guy that likes to strike, like similar with you, but do you kind of expect him to wrestle you? Because it seems like whenever people fight you, they often shoot for takedowns.
Yeah, they do often shoot. I'm expecting a stand-up battle, like I said, but I'm almost sure at one point in the fight he'll look for a takedown or a fit in and try to turn into a little bit of a wrestling affair / grappling match. So I've in the past, underestimated some of my opponents. Not underestimated, but looked past their certain skills and whether it be their stand-up or their ground game, and I'll train specifically for one style and kind of fade away from the other. But I've learned through through my fights that I've got to be well-rounded all around. So stand-up, I'll be more than ready for that, and wrestling or grappling exchanges, I'll be ready for that as well.
Say you start getting the better part of Cameron early on, like what do you think that would do to him? Because like this is an undefeated guy. Whenever I talk to fighters and coaches, they always say like when you're undefeated, it means you haven't really gone through that adversity yet, and like you don't really know what to do when you're losing a fight. Like, is that part of the plan then? Is to like get ahead early and try to see what he's like if he knows he's losing early?
I think that's what everybody's figuring out with me. Once I start to get out ahead early, the fight tends to sway my way, and then I can dictate the pace. So he'll probably come out and try to dictate the pace, but I'll meet him right in the middle, and we can exchange until somebody drops, which won't be me, or he's probably gonna look for that level change fit in. But yeah, if it happens to go into the deeper waters, and he probably might end up drowning down there. So let's see where it goes. But I definitely see him shooting in on me.
You are a bit bigger than him, like I think 2 inches in height and 3 inches in reach. Like, how do you think that plays a role in the fight?
It'll play a role at some point. Maybe not from the beginning bell, but I think after a while, once he realizes he can't throw those kicks, because I personally am a kicker as well. I come from a karate background, so I can go kick for you, and especially exchange with the hands. So I think once those kicks aren't working for him, and then his reach or his height, he notices isn't working as well, he's gonna realize he's in a world of trouble.
How much do you think your experience too, just kind of being in that big stage and help you? Like he obviously just has the one UFC fight. You have a couple more. Like you've been on the Contender Series. You fought for titles and like Fury. You fought on Looking for a Fight, which is basically another version of Contender Series. Like you obviously have the edge when it comes to like experience.
I definitely think it'll play a big role, and I'm very grateful, man. As much as I would have loved for my last 3 fights to be finishes, of course, in my favor, I'm very grateful that they all went 15 minutes, because prior to going all 3 decisions earlier in my career, I didn't make it out the second round for I think like a good portion of my fights. So going 3 fights in a row and having that full 15-minute experience will definitely, I think, play a big factor, especially like I said, towards the later rounds. And we're gonna see who's got more of the dog in them, and I feel like I do.
How do you kind of see it playing out then?
I definitely see him, like I mentioned, coming out trying to throw a lot of kicks, specifically probably the leg kick or a high left kick, and trying to mix it up with his hands. But I think once he realizes I'm way too quick, way too strong, and potentially feels my power, it'll probably turn into a wrestling match, or he'll try to make it that way. And I can definitely see myself finishing him early second, late third.
And then a bigger octagon too, like you did fight there at 271. Do you think it plays any role in the fight, or is it just kind of for you guys? It's pretty similar.
It's probably similar. It might play a little bit of a role when it comes to his kicking range and where he wants to try and fight me from. But I definitely see myself just going in there and having my way.
Oh, you get past Cameron, like handing him his first loss. Like, what do you think that does for you? Like, you'd be what 3-1 in the UFC. Like, your one loss is pretty close decision. Like, where do you think that kind of puts you in the division?
I definitely think it reminds everyone who I am. Like I mentioned, and I hate to keep bringing it up, kind of probably sounding like a broken record, but I was tearing through everybody prior to the UFC, and I need to get back to my finishing ways, and I am. So once I finish him, and I guess like you mentioned, derail this hype train, it'll put the division on notice, and we'll take it from there.
What is kind of the goal then for you this year?
Fight at least 3-4 times. Who's to say I get past this one quick, and then that March 25th card, a spot opens, and right down the road from Houston is San Antonio. So I'd definitely be willing to fill in there at 135, 145, and if it's the right matchup, I'd be expecting to get right back in the cage.
That is something I did want to ask you about. Was that ever a talk of pushing this fight back a bit when they announced they're going to San Antonio?
I was really pushing for it, and I was asking my manager, hounding him. I was like, man, that would be the best birthday gift I could ever have, is fighting on my birthday, because March 25th is my actual birthday, and that card happened to fall right on that date. So it didn't happen, but like I said, who's to say I get past this fight fast, quick, and then there's a quick turnaround opening for the March 25th card. Sign me up.
Being in front of fans again too, like how much more enjoyable does that kind of make the experience?
It's exciting. I've always said that I love fighting in front of a crowd, and this being the biggest card of the year, or the biggest card to date, I feel like it's gonna be action packed from the beginning prelims all the way to the end. So I'm excited. I haven't got to fight in front of a Las Vegas crowd, so this will be my first time, and I'll make sure to put on a show.
I know the UFC doesn't do the card placements till like a couple weeks before. Like, do you really care where you are on the card? Because I think you could be like at least on like the ESPN prelims because of like how much hype they kind of have behind Cameron.
Yeah, I don't really care. I've always mentioned if I could fight first in the night, get it over with, and watch everybody else, I love to. But it doesn't matter where they put me, and that'd be awesome if they put me on the ESPN, so more eyes could see me derail this hype train and show everybody who I am.
Final thing, I know one of your friends is obviously Adrian Yanez. Like, what do you think of his big fight against Rob Font upcoming?
It's gonna be a scrap. We'll see how it goes, but yeah, probably a boxing affair. I think, yeah. I don't know who's gonna take a shot first, but we'll see.
Oh, well, man, I appreciate the time. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you, Cole.
Yep.